Good morning. We've got a pear tree here that we're going to talk about pruning, and so this one has been established for quite some time. It has that central leader pruning system to it, where we have some lateral growth, horizontal growth here, and then another tier, and then there'll be one final tier at the top. And I've been heading it off, cutting the top off of this tree. Really, this is a standard tree, so it has the ability to go, beyond 20 feet high, but I am going to keep pruning it and stopping it from growing that high. So these, this tree here and this one here, they have been here for 9 years. So these are 9 years old. This tree, this one, so if we're just looking at overall growth here, you can see why that one at the very end has more growth than this one here, and this one here, and this one here. So this one was planted 3 years ago. So it was a 2-year-old tree. So this is about 5 years old. All right, so we got 9, 10-ish years old because it was a 1-year-old whip that this one was planted. This one's about 5 years old. And this one was planted 2 years before this one, so this one's about 7 years old. So you might be like, I want you to see that, like, in a couple years, this one is gonna look like that one. And now this one's not fully pruned up. I'll do another video looking at that, and if anything, this is a before picture. And you're going to see that all of these vertical pieces, all these vertical pieces are going to get taken out. And you might be like, well, looking at some of these shapes and stuff like that, these, a lot of these boughs that are bent, they're boughs that held fruit. This one right here, that's a good one. They held fruit the previous year, and that's why they stretched down. So what I'll end up doing is looking at that and getting rid of anything that's growing downward and continue horizontal and slightly vertical growth, but not straight vertical growth. So, what we're trying to do is get strong horizontal branches from what's there. So this one was one where I made a tough decision one year. I didn't have a central leader on this one. The deer pressure had eaten the top of this one when it was young, and so I really started over. I put a little cage around it so that the deer wouldn't eat it, and I cut its top off, and I cut all horizontal growth off, and let one bud grow straight and tall. And I want you to see what happened here. I lost my central leader, my central line, but now I've got it back, okay? And the same thing happened here. I wanted a central leader here, and this was another one where I had lots of weird horizontal growth, and I got rid of all of it and forced it to put its energy into growing a central leader. And now I've got a few horizontals established, and then another few horizontals here that I'll keep in all. So if you look at this branch here and this one here, and there's one on the other side, that's going to be the next tier, while there's 3 horizontals down here for this layer, for this part of the canopy, and then that part of the canopy to hold fruit. Everything in between is going to get pruned out. Anything growing towards the center is going to get pruned out. Anything that's kind of leaning too much will get too much out. So the pears really like vertical growth. Unlike the shape of this peach tree. It's really neat to see them side by side. And really with the pears, you can see that just how much they shoot straight up. So these are semi-dwarfs here and here, and this is a standard and another standard. So that's why you might even see some small differences. Now we do also have an Asian pear and an Asian pear, and then these are more European pears, and the growth habit for both of them is about the same. So we're shooting for that central leader that then we take horizontals. We let some horizontals grow, and look, you can see I've got these established. What's going to happen is I'm going to want this one to grow more horizontally, so I'm going to find a bud on the outside, and I'm going to trim right above that bud here. I do happen to have the pruners in hand, and when I look at this, I don't have to get out stakes, and I don't have to pull this down. Here's the thing: is if I just trim right here, this bud is facing outward, and now the growth of this is going to continue outward in this direction. If I had trimmed right here, and then the growth would continue inward, and I would get the wrong shape for my tree. What you can see is that this is, we get this outward growth, this horizontal growth in these tiers by continually making choices every year to prune so that it encourages outward growth with less horizontal growth in those tiers. Again, I want less vertical growth in those horizontal tiers. The vertical one, I want to keep that going. And continue to have horizontal layers as we're going up. So again, you know, I'm going to take time to make some decisions. I don't have to do this all in one day. I've got all winter long to decide how I'm going to prune this. So I walk around with this and I prune a little bit a day, deciding how I'm going to shape the tree until I eventually get something that I like. Thanks.